Transcendental Transformation, the place where spirituality and transformation unite. Host Miss Raina imparts truth so that you can break through your limiting beliefs and evolve into a deeper consciousness. As you go about your day, remember, before every breakthrough, there is a breakdown. And now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Transcendental Transformation. I'm your host, Miss Raina, and today is Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. As always, we're coming live from the Sirius Star System studios right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I hope all is well with all of you. So, I don't have much of an intro this week. I really don't. Honestly, I don't do much anymore ever since, hold on one second. Ever since I, don't do too much, there's not much to say anymore. And I don't want to bore you guys with always me sitting on the couch. Hey, I got my hair done, right? I could talk about that for a little bit, but that's a little bit. I do love the color, though. I got to be honest with you. But anyways, the only thing we got coming up as far as what's going on in our schedule is we have the New Life Expo on October 9th. There's a whole weekend to it, but we're only going to be there October 9th. And we're going to be speaking on the 5 principles of emotion on Sunday at noon. And then the following weekend after that is Spirit Fest and PSL. And that is going to be the whole weekend. We are going to be there. We're going to be vending. And I'm not sure if we're going to be speaking yet. But if we are going to be speaking, it's going to be on the collective consciousness and how to basically grow in consciousness and become more aware. And it should be good stuff. That's always a fun event. As always, everybody, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, DLive. And as the replays are always posted on the Facebook social media. So, all right, let me get this. I have a new headset on. It's taking me a little bit to get used to. I figured instead of the big clunky headphones, which I do, and I might go back to that, I figure we'll try some audio monitors and see how that is. But I hear an echo inside my head as I'm trying to talk to you. So I don't know if these are going to work. So we'll find out. If not, hey, we can always return them, right? But anyways. Let's get into tonight's show because there's always a lot of information and I always have so much notes and I never, always get through them. And a long time ago we did this show and I don't remember what it was titled. I think it was The Ghost of something. And it's kind of a similar show. And one of the things that I thought that we should touch upon, because so many people struggle with past relationships, especially the pain and suffering that they've gone through with them, the heartache, the breakdowns, sometimes the betrayal. Sometimes we've done that to to other people, and it just seems like the past haunts us, especially when it comes to relationships, even friendships. And I just thought that now would be a great time to do it because, we're getting into the fall season and I know Samhain's coming up and it's time for you Northerners to kind of bunker in. And what I like about, even though I don't like the cold, what I like about fall and the wintertime is that this is a great time to do a lot of reflective work. Why? Because the fall and the wintertime is going into the feminine aspect, which is the negative aspect of polarity. And a lot of times we look at it and yes, we get cabin fever. I was one of those that I just, unless I was outside snowboarding or doing anything, I just, I didn't, want to be in the cold. And a lot of people, you get stuck inside your house for a long time, and it just happens. And then depression sets in because you're not out moving, and you just look, and everything seems so glum. But what's nice about this is a lot of times that, and this tells us that we as humans, we don't like to do a lot of reflection. We don't like to think about it. We are so distracted by the ideas of social media, being on our phone all the time, watching TV, movies. It is easy for us to get distracted and constantly have a dopamine or a serotonin rush going on. Especially with all the stimulation, our dopamine levels are dropped out, and life doesn't seem exciting anymore because we're overstimulated. So this is a great time going into this, and this is one of the reasons why this show is actually perfect, because this is something that will take several, depending on how much you work on it. It could take several months, it could take a year, it could take a couple weeks. It depends. But I always say that in the winter months is since it's all feminine aspect, because remember the spring and summer is all masculine aspect, and we're supposed to go out and have fun and go outside and go camping and boating and all these things. We're supposed to be active. But in the wintertime, this is when we store our fat more. This is when we're supposed to be recluse. This is where we're supposed to settle in and just kind of, be kind of homebodies for a little bit, especially in the winter things. And this is something that in relationships a lot of times we fault to, because when relationships are painful, we don't want to look at them. We don't want to be reminded that the relationships that we're doing are actually very, that they've caused us pain and suffering. And this is something that a lot of us, we must learn to work through. Remember that since we're in the winter months here and we're starting to see ourselves and we're starting to say, hey, this is a time for reflection. What is it that I actually need work on? And, if I'm struggling in my life of having relationships, if I don't trust people, if I don't want to have people around me, if I feel it's safer in my house than it is out there, then there's a lot of stuff that I have to work on in order for me to get over things. Because hey, if I want to have a healthy relationship, not just with somebody else but with myself, then what's the best thing we have to do? Well, we have to get over it, right? Because we've all loved, we've all lost, we've all loved again, and a lot of us, because there has been pain and suffering in it, there has been a lot of regret. And this is something that we all experience, because every single person has experienced letdown. We've all experienced heartbreak. We've all experienced dishonest relationships. And for many of us, it is because, when it comes to relationships, first, I want to say that one of the biggest things that we're going to talk about today, and this is going to be hard for so many of us, especially people that aren't ready for this stage, is acceptance of our own faults. And what I mean by that is not just, the way we act, the things we do, like the mistrust and the ideas we put in our head, but what is it that we actually did to ourselves? What was the red flags? What was the things we chose to ignore in that relationship or in those friendships or whatever, that we decided to ignore because we wanted to believe that somebody was something different, or we wanted something so badly that we chose to ignore it, and it ended up blowing in our face. We could sit there and think that scorpions are the most cutest. They are considered an animal, insect. I think it's an insect. But we could think that they're the cutest, but and we could say, oh, they're never going to sting me. But again, it's an animal, and it has instincts, and if it stings you, what are we going to do? Are we going to yell at are we going to yell at the scorpion and say, hey, it was the scorpion's fault? No, we understood that, hey, this is part of the dynamics of what a scorpion is, and we don't do that for relationships, do we? Because whether it's a romantic partner or platonic partner, a lot of us just put our trust and energy into a person that we go gaga over, and this is something that's very dangerous, especially when we're young. We tend to be naive to things because life hasn't rolled us over yet. People hasn't a lot of times people haven't hurt us yet. So we go into things very mistrusting, very naive, very not mistrusting, very trusting, very naive, just going into that and being this idea that, oh, this is going to be the fantasy, because why we see Disney, and I really do. I love Disney to death, but, like things like Disney and all these movies that showed that that we're going to find and everyone's going to be happily ever after and things are going to work out like that, just aren't true. This is not how life is. And those ideas are constantly put in our head. I don't know if you grew up with Sesame Street or I don't know what the kids' things are today. I think it's Coco Melon and some other ones. I don't know. But anyways, if you watch shows, especially when we're young, we're constantly told, well, if you do the right thing, then this is going to work out for you. If you do this, then this is going to happen. But that's not the way life is. And so we kind of go into these things thinking, well, I really want love because people have told me that, hey, I'm supposed to find love. When I get married, especially women, we are told that from such a young age that our job is to find a man to take care of us. And, and that's just not true. It's not a man's job to take care of anyone. anyone, and it's not, a woman's job to take care of a man. These things are just not true. But these ideas are placed by society because we think, hey, I'm supposed to find somebody. I'm not supposed to work. I'm not supposed to do these things. I'm supposed to go. And we have all these ideas and concepts. I just want a baby. I just want a family. I have all these different things. And so we try to find that exact person that's supposed to fill and make over all the insecurities and all the different things that are going on in our life. But in truth, we're not settling in and understanding who we are. And the first thing that I really want to talk about is that relationships are, this idea of forever needs to be kind of just excluded out of life. Ooh, hitting my microphone again. It needs to be excluded out of life. It needs to be where, because the reason why I say that is because nothing in the world is forever. Everything dies, everything transforms, everything changes. Nothing lasts forever, including our lives, including our relationships. And once we start to understand that, then we stop putting all of our effort into, when we're a young soul, we put all our effort into the one. Because why? Because we're very insecure. We're looking for things inside of ourselves. We haven't learned to develop self-love. We haven't learned to develop these ideas because we're just not there yet. But as we evolve, as we're growing and evolving in our consciousness as who we are as human beings and as a person, especially through our own personal evolutionary battle, then all of a sudden we have to start looking at things and saying, I can't make someone, for me, first of all, to put in all this energy to somebody and expect them to make me happy in every single way because they're my boyfriend or girlfriend or my wife or husband or part, whatever we want to call them. And that's just an insane expectation that we're putting on someone else. And that's not fair. And no one can possibly do that. No partner in the world can make you completely happy, because they may make you happy on the surface because you're putting all your attention into there, but they go away, something happens, things change, and all of a sudden your world comes crumbling apart because it was just a surface level band-aid that makes it say that, well, this person was supposed to make me happy and do everything for me, when in fact I have unresolved things. And a lot of times we do this because, hey, we've been abused in the past, we've had mistrustings, we've been cheated on, we've had all these different experiences before, and we keep thinking that, I'm just going to search for that one person. And sadly, we'll lose friends over it as soon as we find that person, or as soon as we start dating, man, our friends go to the wayside, family goes to the wayside, because we're so ingrained to chase after this one relationship that this holy grail that's supposed to exist, that's supposed to solve all my problems, make me happy, and we're going to live in the white picket fence, the White House with the white picket fence and have horses and dogs and cats and kids and the complete fairy tale. And this just isn't one of the things that we have to understand. We have to understand that we must evolve from this, because what relationships are really about, even your current one that you're in, even if you marry this person and stay there, it's all about lessons. Every relationship that we have is all about some type of lesson. And so this idea of lessons comes from, what do I need to learn? What is it that I'm supposed to learn from this person? What is it that person's supposed to learn from me? There's a reason why we're together. And the reason why is because we're matching vibrations. Everything in the universe is all about vibration, because it matches. It likes attracts like. It likes its own vibration. So if you're vibrating at like 600 hertz, you don't want to vibrate with a vibration that's only 53 or 100. No, you want to be up there vibrating. And same with if you're 100 hertz, you want to vibrate with your own vibration, because that's what you're similar. That's why, have you ever noticed in life that people attract to people that are a lot like them? And you always see people partner up, whether it's because of race, sexuality, or because they just have similar personalities or similar likes. It's really the attraction of vibration that's really what's going on. And this is something that we have to take notice of, because if we want to have a healthy relationship, then, like I said, the first thing we have to do is put off the expectations that this person is supposed to save me, and this person's supposed to be my everything and do everything for me and just ride off into the sunset. Hey, you know what? That's great if that happens, which I don't know if that does, because I've never seen it. Every relationship has their troubles. Every relationships have their things that they have to work on. But the ability to work through the problems and challenges during that relationship is really what these things are all about. And that's the reason why we love and we lose and we love again and we lose and we love. But the problem is with a lot of people is that we're loving and losing, but we're not learning. And that's the reason why we have so much regret, is because we're taking this personal. Yeah, of course, someone can, each one of us can pinpoint the day where someone broke our heart, right? I know I can. I know you can. I know these things can happen. We all can pinpoint the day where we've had that broken heart. Someone's hurt us. Someone's betrayed us, and and for a lot of us, the pain just relives over and over. It's just like a broken record that's constantly skipping, or an MP3 that's stuck on loop over and over. And we take that into our current relationships. This is hard for us because this is the way most of us live. If we want to remove the regret, if we want to remove the pain, then we're going to have to make a lot of changes, and that's going to start with us. And as always, the first thing that I always teach everybody is what do we have to say that when we want to start healing, when we want to start moving on from something, we have to take responsibility in that fact. What did I do that I either ignored, that I either let go, that I chose to just say, okay, he's going to change or she's going to change, or, it's just, oh, that's how women are, that's how men are, whatever the ideas that we have are. And so we have to start taking accountability for these actions and start going through a checklist. And they all have to start with I. Okay, what did I ignore? What did I choose to think that it was going to change? What were my expectations? What did I want from this person that this person couldn't meet? Because most of the time in relationships, especially past ones, remember, all relationships are here to come into our point, to teach us certain lessons, and then when the lessons are done, they break apart and go their separate ways. That's why even even whether you did causing the pain or somebody else did causing the pain, it's really the understanding of realizing that this person, or I came into that person's life to teach them lessons, or they came to teach me lessons, and now I have to take these lessons and grow with it. Because what's fueling the anger that you have is playing that replay of being the victim. This person did this to me. This person cheated on me. I gave them all my love and they didn't return it. Well, probably. You probably did give them all your love and they didn't return it because you chose to ignore the fact that the person wasn't in the spot to give out love. Even I've done it. I dated one of my last relationships was dating someone that just didn't know how to love. They didn't know what love was. It was just all about sex and partying and having a good time, and they couldn't understand what love was. And so no matter how much I gave them, it was basically nothing but verbal, mental, and emotional abuse back, because that was what they were doing. But I had to realize not to take it personally. So what I did was, instead of fueling my anger and sounding like a broken record, I said, you know what was this meant to teach me? And when I changed my perspective and I looked at it and I said, wow, yes, this hurt, but without this person in my life, I wouldn't have gone back to who I was, because I was so far away from where I was of being Miss Raina and teaching. I was just having fun. I gave up on a lot of stuff at that point in my life, and I just wanted to party and have a good time. And so this person came in because that's the vibration that I was attracting, and that was something that was in my blueprint that I had written out to jar me back to where I was. If that person didn't come in and cause me pain and suffering and treat me like that, I would have never looked at myself and said, how did this happen? Why did this happen? And I don't like playing the victim. So instead of playing the victim, I said, okay, well, I got to look at myself. I got to face this. I got to see what it is that I'm looking at and realize what it is I have to evolve from. And the moment I realized that this whole relationship was about getting me back to the person that I need to be so that I could be sitting here in this moment talking to you guys right now, that's when all of a sudden all the anger, all the pain, that was a little dyslexic moment, just decided to leave. And I wasn't angry at the person anymore. I wasn't angry at this person. I actually felt great compassion for them and great gratitude. I was like, wow, this person came into my life and reshifted me back to where I needed to be. And who knows where I'd be right now if that didn't happen. All right, guys, we'll be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. As we transform into more sentient beings, a new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution, the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561-318-0006. That's 561-318-0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, everybody, we are back. And so that's where anger comes from. Anger comes from our inability to look at something and understand it. It's always that way. Yes, people say anger is the absence of love. Yes, because you don't understand it enough to have compassion and understanding. When I became understanding of that particular relationship, I was no longer angry or hurt anymore because I didn't say, why did this person do this to me? I said, wow, this person came in to help me, to get me back where I needed to go. And wow, what a blessing that is. What amazing that is, isn't that? Because, I mean, without that, I could still be off partying, who knows, dead, who knows where I would be, living in another state, working, who knows. But the point of the matter is that we're resentful and angry because we are playing the victim and not understanding that these people are meant to be temporary in our life. Yeah, even if we find the one, which I don't believe there's ever just one person out there for anybody, especially me be polyamory. It's just not something I believe. But even if we found that one, we still have to look at that one relationship as looking at and say, well, okay, I'm meant to go with this person throughout for however long it's going to be. And however long it's going to be, I'm going to appreciate it day by day. There's going to be challenges in it. There's going to be things that come up. But if we love each other, then we're going to try to work through it. We're going to try to talk through it. And guys, I know, especially me, when I was younger, I had a hard time talking because of my upbringing. But, talking is very beneficial. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you a girl. It doesn't make you anything. But the more you are able to express yourself and feel comfortable, the stronger of a person you are. And if you're one of those that buys into society's unrealistic ideas of what a man is, then it is going to be a lifetime of broken relationships, suffering, pain, and divorces, and just pain and suffering because we're not allowing ourselves. Because remember, what is a relationship? A relationship is a connection, a bondage, whether it's temporary or long-term for this lifetime, that is meant to come together to be able to bring information so that two people can go through experiences together and grow. That is the whole purpose of relationships. It is just meant, they're almost kind of like your own personal guides, I would say, that are here to help you and you to help them grow and experience. Your life isn't meant, you're not here to work 9 to 5 and have children and raise kids, and do all these things. That's not what life is about. Your whole life, everything about life is about growing and evolving. And that's why relationships are no different. And this is one of the biggest misconceptions of life that we have to go, and probably one of the things that we think that life is meant to be. We think that we're meant to find somebody to love, to marry, and to spend the rest of the life with and live a happy life. And that could not be further from the truth. And especially during the jump, we're finding so many people, their relationships, their work, their businesses, everything is crumbling down right now because old worlds have to be brought down in order for us to grow and evolve. And this is something that we're looking for. So when we're angry, we're bitter, right? We're out to prove something. We're all tough. We're sitting there trying to, to look for the person, but we have mistrust. We have these ideas that, people are just going to cheat on us. Men have the woman. If you've been hurt, you think that all women are bad. Women, if you've been hurt, you think that all men are terrible, and it's just a vicious cycle of judgment and confusion. So my next step would be to get rid of that. Stop judging the other sex or the same sex or whoever you date. If you're demisexual like me, or if you're pansexual, or if you're straight, you're gay, whatever, bisexual, whatever you are, and whatever you love. Stop putting these ideas that you hear, because no matter what, when I would hang out with LGBTQ people, they would always trash their own sex and say, oh, men are the worst if they're gay. Oh, lesbians are the terror. Men versus women. It's all going to set you up for brokenheartedness in the future, because you're taking these concepts that aren't true. Hey, people are people. Everybody is here to learn just like you. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. They are not perfect. And so why do we have all these unrealistic expectations that we put on? If we're going into life thinking that people are going to hurt us, well, because like attracts like in vibration, guess what? We are going to find everybody that is going to hurt us. If we see ourselves as the victim, we are going to find all these broken people to be relationships with that can't give us love, because we see ourselves as unworthy and unloved, etc. If we go in thinking that everyone's just going to be, how many of us find, especially people that are, like to find people that are broken, people that need to fix, or a lot of times people that are healers and all that stuff, that are really trying to heal themselves, find people that are broken all the time and think that they're going to fix them up, because really what they're trying to do is fix them through fixing someone else. And we know that doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And so we have to start regaining trust in ourselves. And that's one of the biggest things that we have to do, is we have to look at ourselves and say, okay, yes, I may have been naive before. Yes, I may have that. But I'm going to start trusting myself and loving myself, not to just go and start dating anywhere or anyone because I'm lonely, because no one loves me, because I'm 30 years old now and I'm running out of time, which is silly. But we have to start sitting there saying, okay, well, if I'm going to trust myself, then when I start dating first, and this is my rule when I used to date, is I always was friends first. I always wanted to get to know the person first, and that's what we have to do. And even in our relationships now, when we're trying to build relationships now compared to the past and stuff, we have to be able to look at ourselves and regain that trust. Because if we want to get over the past, we have to regain the trust today and say, you know what, yes, that was the past, it hurt, but now let's pick it apart. Let's look at it in order for me to have a healthy relationship today. If we're not interested in a healthy relationship and we're looking to get past just the pain and suffering of the past, well, it begins with trust too, because you have to learn to trust yourself and your judgment in people in order to get over it. Because the biggest thing of the reason why we've been hurt is because we didn't trust ourselves to either be loved by a person that could give us love or treat us right, or whatever the excuse was. And so again, it comes back to our ideas. So if I want to get over the past, then I have to build a relationship with myself. What is it that I truly desire? What did I desire back then? What was I chasing? What was I looking at? Hey, you know what? If you're 30, 40, 50, 60 years old or above, and you're hanging on to pain and suffering in high school, well, we got to look at it and say, we were kids. We were kids. Everybody, our first love was always the most important thing. It was always, the biggest thing at the time, because we were having new experiences. We've never had it. And it's always true love in our first experience usually. And we were kids, so let's chalk it up and let's kind of dismiss that, because hey, when we're teenagers or in middle school or whatever, what do we really know? Nothing. It's just a bunch of hormones going around, experiences we're trying to have. But now as adults, Now we have this thing called consciousness. We have this brain, this prefrontal cortex that allows us to think. But unfortunately, we don't use it because we're so in fight or flight. We're using, the survival mechanisms of our body to live and stress out every day. So when we look at it, we say, okay, well, what is it I'm desiring? What did I want in the past? Okay, well, I know that I want someone to treat me right, and well, the first place is do I treat myself right? Because again, everything that mirrored in the past mirrors in our present right now. The past doesn't exist anymore. It's over. The present doesn't, the future doesn't exist. Every minute of every day is always the present. But if we're looking at the past and we're saying, hey, what is the past? Like, what did I want? What was it that I wanted back then that I chose to sacrifice because I'd rather have been with somebody than nothing at all? Then all of a sudden we start talking to ourselves. And this is important because, again, if we want to resolve our pain, our anger, our hurt, our regret, whatever it is, we have to build a relationship with ourselves and talk to ourselves. So let's look at it and say, hey, you know what? I wanted to be with somebody, this person, even though they were kind of a narcissist, at times they made me feel special. Well, why don't I make myself feel special? Why don't I do the things to myself that I want from somebody else? And most of us, we don't even bother asking ourselves that. Well, okay, well, this person couldn't give that to me. Well, that's the reason why they couldn't give that to me, because it was my job later to figure out what it is that I wanted. Every relationship, if we can dissect it, if we can look at the pain and suffering and say, what did this person cause me in pain and suffering? Then take that piece and say, this is what I was looking for, and how can I give this to myself? What it starts doing is it starts changing the way our brain reacts to relationships. It starts retraining the brain. It starts to redo those neural pathways and starts to say, okay, well, yes, this happened to me. But if I take that information and I start looking and not saying, hey, well, what went wrong and what was unjust, why this person cheated on me or did me wrong or betrayed me or scammed me, whatever, and that what information can I get from this that I was really trying to gather? And now how can I turn it upon myself to start giving me this? Because I look at relationships as kind of like being healthy. If you look for other people to feed you healthy food all the time, and the only time you eat healthy is when you're around other people, are you going to be healthy? No. You might eat healthy once in a while when you're around somebody and gain some nutrients, but if you're not doing it to yourself, then nothing's ever going to change, is it? You're not going to get the health benefits and the body transformation and all this stuff that you wanted before, right? You won't. You won't get it because you're not doing it. You're only doing it once in a while. And this is the same expectation we have on people that we've dated in the past and people that we're doing in our people that we're with on our current relationship. And this is something that we have to evolve from. People a lot of times will take things personally because this is one of the most fundamental ideas that we do. Well, it happened to me. Well, stop saying it happened to you. Nothing happened to you. It happened for you. Okay? Change the words from it happened to me to it happened for me. Because there's a huge difference whether someone did something to me or someone helped me and did something for me. If you're going to constantly blame somebody else for something that happened to you, then you will always be stuck in this continuous loop of anger, suffering, and pain. It's always going to be that way because nothing is supposed to be a specific way. Your ideas of suppose, hey, we're friends and friends are supposed to be honest and caring and they're supposed to be there for me. Well, are all friends like that? No. Okay. Are all relationships like that? No. Are all family members like that? No. Okay. So this idea of supposed to be, it's in the past. It doesn't matter. You can't change the past. And this is part of building this relationship with ourselves. And this is the acceptance. Because once we admit, well, what is it that I did? What is it that I ignored? What is it that I could have done? What was it that I was searching for? And you start picking apart those things. Then all of a sudden we start to do that. Well, I was all in judgment because that's what it's all about. It's all judgment. Well, it was supposed to be like that. He was supposed to treat me like that. She was supposed to do this for me. I know so many toxic relationships. I see them all the time, that people act like they're healthy because the man's doing his job and the woman's doing her job, and as long as they're doing the man's job and the woman's job, everything's fine. But it's an extremely toxic relationship because it's expectations of this is what you're supposed to do, and these ideas aren't really fair to anybody. And it's the same thing in everything. Our society, our society has a lot of ideas that really sometimes make you just want to take your head and bang it against the wall several times, because you're just sitting there like really, these are the expectations. I know that when I was younger, I always felt so much pressure for dating. It doesn't matter what side you're on. Girls have expectations of dating, especially when it comes to sex and things. Guys have a lot of expectations and to act certain ways, and you got to build the nerve to ask out a woman, and you might get it rejected. And and this is why I think that, especially if you've been hurt before, is why being friends with somebody first is so important in a current relationship, is because you get, the pressure is off. Like whenever I met someone and I used to like them, I would always say, I would say, okay, I like this person. Well, let's get to know them first. Sometimes I'd find out, well, I'm glad I got to know them first because they're not my type at all. And other times I would meet people and, think that they're not my type and find out that they are. But it builds that bridge. It builds kind of like that foundation of, well, okay, well, now that I'm not just jumping into things because I'm seeking validation from somebody, now I'm looking at things and saying, okay, well, I'm getting to know this person. I'm getting to see this person for who they really are. I'm getting to know their habits. Are these habits, are these things that they do something that I can deal with or want to deal with, or is it just something that I'm not looking for? And that is one of the best ways we can learn to evolve from making the same mistakes. And I'm doing that because, there's no such thing as mistakes, but the same type of replays of life experiences that we keep running into. Building that foundation is something that we need to be able to do, because we can't base, like I said, our happiness on somebody else's relationship, or I should say somebody else through a relationship. Our insecurities, if we have insecurities back then, or the ones that were created back then before we get into a relationship today and to resolve that pain and suffering, again, we have to visit that. If you view relationships or things that have happened to you as scary or too painful to deal with, well, unfortunately, what can I say? That's where you're going to be the rest of your life, because you see an idea and you think it's scary, but it's not. I've been through a lot of trauma in my life. I've been through a lot of messed up situations, a lot of violence, and it was scary then. But when I revisited it, and I looked at it and I realized that I'm in control and I'm the one and it's not happening anymore, the power changes, because our mind doesn't understand the difference between reality and fiction. Reality and fake. No, I'm right. My dyslexia is kicking in again. But it doesn't understand that. It says, hey, I have an image. I'm going to replay this because this gives me the emotion. Our body likes things in patterns. It likes to do things that it's familiar with. So it's going to keep replaying that, and it's going to keep basing something that's not true. So I always say, well, if we have a past painful relationship, let's say like that the person cheated on me, and I'm using my own personal experience, and for a long time I dated a lot of people that cheated on me, even though I was open with people. I was cool with open relationships. I always found people that cheated on me. Why? Because the message inside my head was, well, I don't deserve someone good enough to love me. The only people that are going to let me down. Because I've had people treat me poorly through physical abuse and other things, I carried it over into my relationship, saying, well, hey, that's the way relationships are going to be too, because all I've known is people bullying me, people physically abusing me, people being mean to me. So this must be how love is too. And that's what I attracted. wouldn't fail. No matter who I dated, it was just constant over and over and over until even one time I even did it with somebody where I was I was starting to date someone new and someone else popped up and I decided to, to make ends meet with this person and all of a sudden I was like, wow, now I'm doing the exact thing that I always feared because now the fear was in me that, hey, this is happening to me, so I'm going to create this situation, and I didn't feel good. I didn't feel healthy about it. And so sometimes we start to create those situations that we're holding on to. And I had to realize that, again, through work through myself, I had to realize that I was worth it. All right, everybody, we'll be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. As we transform into more sentient beings, a new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution, the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561-318-0006. That's 561-318-0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, everybody, we are back, and if you're just joining us, we are on our third and final part of Love, Lost, Loved Again, and Regret. So there is a lot to relationships, but it all boils down to just trusting yourself and working through those things. I get it, people. Having a big heart. I was young. I had a big heart. I wanted everyone to experience because my family had some money and did well successfully as far as business-wise. I wanted to share that with people that didn't. And a lot of people took advantage of me like that. Well, it was my fault. Why? Even though I was 6, 7, 8 years old, it was my fault because I didn't understand better. But that's okay. That's okay because it shows the type of person that I am. I showed that I didn't care about money. I didn't care about that. I had friends. I loved my friends. I wanted my friends to have the same experiences that I did. And to me, money, toys, whatever it was, wasn't valuable to me as long as I was doing it with my friends and sharing those experiences in that way. And so that's what we have to look at. We have to go back and say, well, these experiences aren't meant against us. They're meant to show us that, hey, you know what? A lot of us, we do have big hearts. And that's the reason why we get hurt by people that don't have the hearts, that haven't evolved in consciousness, that are younger souls than us, because they have this idea, well, they are without, so they have to take, or they're greedy and they want that because that's inside of them, because that's something they have to learn. I learned a long time ago that I'm not going to change for other people. And what that means is, that doesn't mean I'm going to be so stubborn and stuck in my ways and stuff. Yeah, I'm stubborn because I know who I am and I want to keep driving myself. And you have to. But the thing is that I always had a big heart. I was always caring. Now the difference is instead of being angry and yelling at everybody and screaming, what I say is this: okay, well, let's meet people. Let's, get to know them as friends, because I trust myself now. I've been around the block. I trust my judgment. I can see the red flags that are going in. Let me see now what I can, when I meet people, let's be friends with them. Let's slow the train down a little bit, and let's see who deserves my friendship. That's right. Who deserves my friendship? Who deserves my love? Because you know what? It took me a long time for me to love me. And I'm not going to let anyone take that away. And because why? Because I went back and I started building these relationships. I started trusting myself. I started taking responsibility for who I am. I started saying, yeah, these people hurt me, but they didn't really hurt me. I allowed this to happen because I wanted this, and I expected this. Now I'm going to take that and grow with it. And it changed everything to me, because I still have a big heart. I just know to judge and do things in my own way, where I don't just shell out cash anymore. I just don't do whatever it is I do and just give, give, give. I do that for people who need it. Why do you think we started the Homeless Foundation? Why do you think we did that? Because that's a way for me to give to people who really need it. There's other things that, I do, or maybe you do, that you could do that. Relationships don't always have to be romantic. And so when we're trying to get over past romantic relationships, we can learn to build, not just by dating, but through our friends, by building relationships with strangers, through business, etc., going out, doing volunteer work. Volunteer work is one of the best ways to learn, to reteach you that there are a lot of wonderful people out there that aren't going to hurt us. It's a way for you to get out of your comfort zone. It's a way for you to learn to start interacting with people and realize that not everyone's out there with a knife ready to slit your throat. It's just not that way. But the fact of the matter is when we're young and we're big-hearted, we're naive. And that's not to be faulted. Hey, I was naive. I had a lot of people take advantage of me. And you know what? It's probably going to happen again. Does that mean that I should beat myself up? Absolutely not. It happened. It's in the past. I learned from it. I grew from it. I've accepted that I can't change it. I look at it now as such a wonderful idea, and I trust myself enough to be there. And you know what? I'm not going to let myself, because when working with my guides, Lori and Mock, is one of the messages was always take your pain and move it into something greater. And we kind of hear that in life now, but it was translated a little different back then. And that's kind of the best way I can translate it now. But there was always pictures showing to me that, that having a big heart is needed in the world. And if you allow your past to destroy you and to eat you alive and to make you into a person that you despise and that you have a hard time with, or that you've had then what ends up happening is we're creating the same thing that we're afraid of. And that doesn't help anybody, because all we're doing is training other people that this is the way of the world. So I took all the pain, I took all the suffering, I took everything of my past, my relationships, the abuse, everything that I've dealt with, and I said, you know what? I want to show this world, whether I show one person or 5 million or whatever, I want to show this world that there are people out here, and that you can take your pain and suffering and make it the most wonderful world that is imaginable. Why? Because we have that power. And that's the truth of building a relationship with yourself. It has nothing to do with anybody can pay money. Anybody can give out money. Anybody can give out food. And yes, that's wonderful. Yes, it's beneficial. I'm not knocking that. But to remain generous, to remain kind, and not just in a monetary way, but to be kind to others, open a door for someone, say hello. You see someone sitting by themselves, read their body language. If you think that, say hi. If they seem like they don't want to be bothered, leave them alone. But if they strike up a conversation, compliment someone on their hair color or their purse or something, or do so. Kindness can be done in so many ways, and you don't know what's going to shift somebody, because maybe someone is going through a toxic relationship, an abusive relationship, and some simple act of kindness can transform their day. Even sometimes I've sat down with people before, and all of a sudden at Whole Foods, at odd places that I never expected, and I could see someone was upset, and all I did was say hi, and they said hi back, and the next thing we know, we started talking about something, and the next thing we know, we got into it, as far as a deep conversation. They opened up to me, and they started talking about that, and then we were able to share an experience of my past and how I evolved through it, and how that connected to them. And it was like a light bulb goes in their head, and all of a sudden they go home and they start working on themselves, and they realize, wait a minute, not all relationships aren't like this. It can be momentarily this toxic. And so we create what we're doing. We create this idea. I want to create a world of being kind. I want to create a world of being generous. And I can't do that if I'm holding on to things that have happened in my past. No matter what someone did to you, no matter how hard it seemed, how harsh it seemed, how terrible it seemed, transform that from saying somebody did this to me to somebody did this for me, and go into it like as if you're on the battlefield going to war with yourself, but with love and compassion, and understand that, hey, you know what? I deserve to be caring to myself, because if I'm going to keep contemplating these ideas, if I'm going to keep being hurtful to myself because of what somebody else did, then the only person that's beating you up today is you. And that's just the facts of life. I hope Fox doesn't get me for that, but it is. It is. It's true. That's how life is. If you're going to contemplate on what has happened in the past, then you're going to have regret, because you're thinking that life in the past can change. Regret, anger, pain, suffering only come from when you don't accept the way things were. You know what? Life is unfair. It is. Life is not meant to be fair. There's a reason for that. I don't know who told somebody that because you're a good person, good things are going to happen to you. Well, there's no good or bad. So that theory goes out the window. Because if you believe in good and bad, that's why, because you're creating a judgment, and now you think, well, I'm a good person, and these bad things shouldn't happen to me. And what do I say about good and bad and right and wrong and Miss Raina's no-nos is they create judgment and they create emotion and chaos. And that is why we hold on. That's why we have the regret. That's why we have that. So get rid of these ideas that things weren't supposed to happen to you. If you're here in life, and you're in a relationship or you're not in a relationship, you're meant to learn certain things. If you're in a relationship, don't look at this person as the one-stop save-all person that's the holy grail that's going to change your life and make you... Because if you remove them from the equation and you can't be happy and you can't go on and you can't do these things that you did when you were in there, then it's a false relationship. I don't care how much you two are in love. I don't care if you marry from now when you're 20 and until the time you both pass on in your 80s or 90s. If the only reason why you're happy is because you're with somebody, then it's not a truthful relationship. And even though it may work out great, you may learn a lot of things, you still have to have a relationship with yourself independent from somebody else. And this is so important. This is probably one of the biggest importance in a relationship. We host so much and we put so much unrealistic ideals on another person for them to change us, to transform us. I even used to go around on social media, and I always used to see this picture of the Incredible Hulk, and it always said, when you find the right woman, all your pain and suffering will go away. And I always used to think, what do you, why? So you're relying on somebody else to come into your life in order for you to be resolved. That's not true. You have to, it's not fair for somebody else in your past or present to take on the challenges that you have. If you have insecurities because you've been cheated on, well, it's before you get in a relationship, then try to resolve that. Resolve that before you get... Why is that fair for you to blame somebody else before they might be the most faithful person in the world, but if you're constantly looking over the shoulder, checking their phone and doing these things, then that's a broken relationship. That's going to go its separate ways in a matter of time right away. Our past is not meant to hurt us. It's not meant to haunt us. It is only in our mind. Our mind is the only thing that's keeping it alive. 1980... Even the year 2021 doesn't exist. Today's September, right? The month of September is here. Even last month, August, isn't even around anymore. It doesn't exist. August of 2022 doesn't exist anymore. The whole purpose of relationships is to build in self. It's to teach you these ideas that you can see in yourself, because they are usually mirroring examples. And that's one of the best ways I can describe relationships. So allow yourself time, allow yourself a way to heal. Figure out if you want to go to counseling, if you want to go to, talk to somebody, if you want to work with someone temporarily. But until you start building that relationship with yourself and understanding that the past is not meant to be painful, it's going to help you, then we're going to have ideas of, of self-esteem issues. We're going to have confidence issues. We're going to fear things because we're always going to think that the present is going to dictate our past. The only person that dictates our present is our mind. And that's one of the biggest things we can do. All right, guys, I know we got like a couple minutes more, but I'm out of breath. I'm done for today. I don't know if I like these. I kind of like them, but I can hear like an echo in my ear, like someone stuffed a Q-tip in my ear. So with the headphones, I don't have the echo so much in my head. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll give it a couple more tries and see what it's like. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining us. When it comes to relationships, especially your past and pain and stuff, start building that relationship with you. Start, accepting responsibility, even, for the things, and start looking at yourself in a loving, caring way, because this is the way that we're going to evolve from that. And ask each of these relationships, like I said, what was I looking for in the past? What was I looking for in this particular relationship? And what can I give myself now to start building this trust with myself? And always remember to be friends with somebody first. Get to know them. Go out, go and hang with them a few times, before just jumping right in, because that idea, I'm talking about an actual relationship, because that idea will help build that kind of trust within yourself and see, that relationship building too. So, all right, guys, as always, follow us on our Facebook at facebook.com/transcendental transformation. Our YouTube is the same. Sign up for my website, soulandspiritguide.com. Actually, visit our website. I am totally dyslexic today. Guys, if you can't tell, my brain's all over the board, but that's all right. So visit our website, soulandspiritguide.com. Sign up for our newsletter and receive special VIP access and hidden shows and special guest offers when we have it. Email me at transcendentaltransformations@gmail.com. If you enjoyed today's show and you want somebody to experience the same thing and you think that it might benefit them, please share the show. The only way we're going to help others and help grow ourselves is through you guys, which we appreciate 100%. And always remember to believe in yourself. It's not our abilities and talents that make us who we are, but it is our choices. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.